All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA props video. Give me touching on the top prop bets here for this Wednesday big 12-game slate. Let's go ahead and get into it. So as always, I do like to start out with a slate preview, just highlighting the games that we have available on the slate. It is going to be early in the season. We're not going to be too worried about blowouts and whatnot. One maybe would be the Pistons versus the Miami Heat. Looking at that game, 9-point spread, very low over and under total. And I was looking at the Detroit Pistons props to start out the preview for myself to get ready for this video, and I was extremely shocked at how low they were. Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, they had very low prop line, and maybe it just is that matchup with Miami Heat. It does make sense. I still think those are going to be ones that I'm looking at. You got a healthy Charlotte Hornet team as 3.5-point dogs, which to me is kind of interesting. That could be one we're going in on. I think PJ Washington's a player that I'm excited for this season. He looked really good at the tail end of the season last year, going against the Atlanta Hawks, who lost one of their bigs, John Collins. And so I'll be interested to see kind of if that helps opposing bigs like PJ Washington go on and have good games. Boston Celtics, kind of the new look Boston Celtics versus the New York Knicks, who I don't think we're going to get any good props for the Knicks. We have seen a lot of the Boston Celtics props already just be all over the place. So interesting there. Houston Rockets versus Orlando Magic. Another one where I think we're going to get some pretty good prop lines there. Jalen Green seems to be a little bit undervalued. Markelle Fultz seems to be a little bit undervalued. That game should be one of the higher scoring games on the slate as well. So that gets me excited. Nets versus Cavs. I don't know that one maybe like a game stack since it's the one that's projected to stay closest. Maybe got the Timberwolves versus the Toronto Raptors. That's a game that I probably don't have the best feel for. Maybe we'll get some good EV bets popping up in there. The OKC Thunder versus the Chicago Bulls. Another game where maybe you want to be game stacking, a very close game there. The Pelicans with Zion Williams back, and then you got the Memphis Grizzlies. They're going to be without Steven Adams. Xavier Tillman was a prop bet that was looking pretty good. We'll see if that's still available. Kings versus Jazz, nothing much there. I think everyone's going to be excited to see the Portland Trailblazers, honestly, and even the San Antonio Spurs. These are going to be really two fun games, I would say, right here, just to pay attention to as like an NBA fan. Scoot Henderson is my pick to win Rookie of the Year, just because I think he's going to have the highest usage rate. I feel like the Spurs could end up just spreading out their minutes amongst everyone, and so to me, it kind of seems like a two-man race between Chet Holmgren and Scoot Henderson. Could completely be wrong by that. Obviously, Vegas thinks I'm wrong about that. Needless to say, Portland Trailblazers are a fun team. But let's go ahead and get into the prop bet for this slate. So obviously, guys, this is a big, massive 12-game slate. So there's obviously going to be a lot to cover. It's going to be difficult to do that. So I'm going to start off with giving you guys kind of my just general opinions for the slate, and then we'll be getting into kind of the more data extensive approach to it. So I want to start with PJ Washington. He was someone at the tail end of the season last year when he was getting the minutes. We don't really care about preseason, but like to see that his production was there this preseason in limited minutes. He was someone that just continued to play well, and I know that they're banged up and that's part of it, but I just don't see them going back from it. Like, they gave him a big contract extension early on this offseason rather than all the big ones that have been occurring right before the season. But I mentioned, like, off the top, like, I am very curious as to if John Collins not being there, who's just an athletic big, if him not being there is actually going to make the Atlanta Falcons a little bit easier, not the Atlanta Falcons, the Atlanta Hawks, a little bit easier of a defensive matchup for opposing bigs. And to me, this just seems too low. I think we can project around 11 shot attempts. And for what's worth, guys, the projection data does update tomorrow, pretty much at, like, I don't know, like 2 a.m. my time, Central Standard Time. So we'll have a better indication of what to expect for those games with that projection data. Minutes data is very much crucial. Now it is the beginning of the NBA season. I do think we can gain an edge by doing this stuff the night before, and that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to see if we can gain an edge, like we did with the Yusuf Nurkic prop, where I just tweeted this out. One of my favorite props was him for over 21.5, 4 points, rebounds, and assists. That has since got bumped to 24, and that took a while to get, even after the Bradley Beal news hit. Like, that took forever for that one to get there, and even with the Draymond Green news as well. So slower response times, it seems like right now, but also if you just like use a logical approach, you can get it at. And so PJ Washington, that's one of the ones I'm looking at. A lot of people are probably gonna be on Jordan Poole for over points, rebounds, and assists, or just over points or 3 balls made. I'm fine with that. It should be a kind of nice game, a fun game there. He's powder cold. I don't know if I exactly want to trust that on the opening night. You do expect him to kind of make a statement game, though. I would say almost the better bet would be Kyle Kuzma, who's going to probably have about the same-ish usage rate, and I don't think there should be that big of a difference between the two. Maybe Kyle Kuzma would be a better points and rebounds type one. And just as an FYI, the reason why I'm doing points, rebounds, and assists is just it gives us a better indication of really what PrizePicks or Underdog is thinking is going to happen with these players, how they're going to play. And so then we could kind of dial in to maybe a points prop, rebounds prop, assist prop if we see fit. I'm not seeing much in this Boston Celtics game. I will say it does, like just looking at it does seem like they're saying, all right, Tatum's going to be the number one there. And then on a nightly basis, they don't know which player it's going to be. And I would argue Holiday's going to be their second best player now. If you guys say it's Jaylen Brown, Porzingis, I'm fine with that too. Just weird. It's tough to explain. We just don't know what our expectations should be for them. And that's what that line's telling us, is that they're just kind of giving it a push. I will say Mitchell Robinson at 16.5 is extremely interesting. He has kind of been vocal about him thinking that he's going to be better this season. And if that's true, him at this line is going to be very low. He's someone that if he averages around 20 minutes, he should be able to get the over here. Against Boston, it typically was a tougher matchup. Now, I don't know, did they get better defensively or did they get worse? Obviously Andrew Holiday's huge, but I don't know, especially against bigs. And I feel like that's why this line is being reflected that way. And so that one was one of the ones that stood out to me. I would have thought that would have been at like 22, honestly. So we'll see from there. Jalen Green. This is a prop that I like, okay? During the preseason, I don't really care about that. The Houston Rockets were a team that did play some pretty heavy minutes, especially with their studs, especially with Jalen Green. And so like when we go back on his game log, we see that he was a 22 point per minute point per game player, 3 rebounds, 3.7 assists. And so yes, you would say that's about 7 and 29. That's not enough, but now he does get seemingly a good matchup against Orlando, a team in which last year he went off against. Now this is last year's data. I mean, it's not that accurate and not that applicable. Another game we saw him get very close to getting the over, but the biggest takeaway with that is that they're going to be without probably their best player. They have a young rookie that they're excited for. They brought in Fred VanVleet. Very interested as to how that will shift the dynamic, and that's probably not probably. That is why we're getting that line at a low number, seemingly a low number, because his usage rate with Kevin Porter off the court was insanely high. Also want to call out Markelle Fultz. Is he going to get minutes? That's my biggest question. Okay, that should be the biggest question for anyone as an Orlando fan. Who are going to be the players who are going to get minutes besides Banchero and Wagner? And we'll just go ahead and take a peek at their game logs here. Their first preseason game felt like they're playing their starters there. Okay, so we see Markelle Fultz did end up 20 minutes, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 10 points. That was in 20 minutes. So this line's already looking intriguing there. We go to the next game, not as good of a game, not as involved. Still 20 minutes in that game, 2 for 6 from the field, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. So we'll still take that. If you give him around, let's say 12 more minutes, could see him definitely get in there. And another game where he got 20 minutes, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. So we can see on average, push that out to a full game minute total. I do see it as a pretty good prop bet. And I know it doesn't matter too much, but you look at the matchup from last year with Houston, and I say that because Fred VanVleet's there, and rosters change. Young teams like this, they get better, change kind of their system a little bit. So it's not always like the best indication of what's going to happen. But Houston last year was a very good matchup for Orlando. Okay, Fultz only played once against them, 29 minutes, didn't have a good game. We don't really care about that. That was very early on in the season. Yeah, we don't care about that. So as long as we see him get this minute total, like what he had on average typically last year, and we look at his average guys last year as well, like firmly over this, as long as he can get that high minutes total, then I'm expecting him to get, that seems like a very low number. Wagner could have a good game as well. Another one that kind of stood out to me was Jakob Poeltl's points, rebounds, and assist prop. If you guys followed me for NBA DFS advice at all last year, when he got traded, I was pretty much playing him all the time because he was seemingly undervalued on every slate. And I don't know if it's going to be a matchup thing or whatnot, or maybe a minutes thing. Like even if he gets 28 minutes, which is what he kind of averaged last year with the Raptors, he should be able to get this over. In 19 minutes against Washington, 8 points, 2 assists, 9 rebounds. And guys, this would be a very, very good fantasy score prop depending on what it is. And given the fact that it's such a low number at 22.5, if we get at like 26, honestly, bet that over, because he's someone that can get a couple of steals, a couple of blocks. I like that one a lot. He's not going to get too many turnovers. That's going to penalize him too much. Then another game, he didn't have the best game shooting because he didn't shoot that much in their first preseason game, but 2 assists, 5 rebounds. So once again, if you give him 10 more minutes or so in kind of a bad game, he's right at getting the over there. And maybe he plays 30 or so minutes instead, then he easily gets the over there. So to me, I see this much more as a kind of minutes-based bet. And as long as the game stays close, kind of like it's projected to, he should be able to go off. And you look at the matchup last year, it was actually a pretty easy matchup. We'll see if that holds up this year. You expect Rudy Gobert, you expect Cat. They're two bigs, right? You wouldn't expect someone like Jakob Poeltl to be able to feast on them, and really like any teams did last year. We look at kind of a recent game. He had a good game against them. So another good prop. Yeah. And then looking at these two for Detroit, like I thought these were too low. Isaiah Stewart at 16.5 points, rebounds, and assists, and Jalen Duren at 20.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Like, I don't know. I guess after doing the game preview, I get that it's most likely going to be because of the matchup with Miami. That makes sense. They're a team that did cause some struggles for opposing bigs. Maybe they get in foul trouble and whatnot. I get that now. Okay, still, the sticker shocks there still seems too low. Like, their game log is not going to be a strong indication of one thing or another, but like in small limited work, Isaiah Stewart, 9 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Like, I honestly would have thought Jalen Duren and his props would have been the same. I don't know if Duren holds a little bit more name value. I don't know. It's weird. The issue is like Bagley has kind of looked good for them. He's definitely going to get some minutes. They traded for James Wiseman to see what he is as an NBA player. He's not that good. But yeah, just on a per-minute basis, like they've been crushing. And once again, I get that the matchup's difficult, but they were doing that stuff on limited minute, having good game. And so if you give them around 10 to 15 more minutes in those games, then that's highly intriguing to me. Now, a slight caution would be maybe Bagley gets the start, or maybe Wiseman gets the start at power forward or something weird. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe it could, but as long as, I should point this out as well, Stewart needs to stay out of foul trouble. There were a few games in which that kind of limited his minutes. It's not a guarantee that he gets around 30 as well. But I think he will. And then Jalen Duren as well. Like, he is someone that we can bank on most likely getting the minutes, it seems like, more so than Isaiah Stewart. And I guess that's why the line's low, but both of those guys, to me, those are standing out. And then from there, moving on to that Brooklyn versus Cleveland game, definitely some intriguing props, I would say, like Mikal Bridges at his line. Actually, all of them. Last year, we kind of had some awesome nights just by stacking the Brooklyn Nets because they were kind of very easy to predict who would go off on a given night. And they were kind of, everyone seemingly did well on a given night. So Bridges, I'm fine with. Like Nick Claxton, as long as he stays out of foul trouble against, the Cleveland Bigs, I'm fine with that. Ben Simmons is definitely interesting. It's a contract year for him, I believe. I'm pretty sure. And so if he's going to have a comeback season, like a lot of people are trying to hype him up to have based off of the preseason, I could kind of see it, I guess. I don't want to touch this though. Like points, rebounds, and assist prop, like it's just not worth it. I don't know if he's going to get the minutes for sure. We'll see. That's a wait and see approach. Spencer Dinwiddie is probably my favorite one out of that team, but it feels like we're forcing it, so no need to push that. Another one that I kind of like, and I believe this got bumped, is Keldon Johnson for over 20 points, rebounds, and assists. And so we look at Keldon Johnson. I think he's going to be their number one player this year. Let's make that clear. And he was someone that played extremely well for them last year. He got a bunch of shot attempts up, and I still think that that's going to continue. And so to me, that line does seem to be a little bit too low. But that prop to me kind of seems more like a stacking opportunity, like Zach Collins as well, who was a very strong point per minute player last year. Like if he gets 28 minutes, he's getting this over. Now he is currently questionable. We have to wait and see on that. But he was someone that on the tail end of the season last year just dominated. I believe he's expected to start, just sign a 2-year contract extension. So this to me is one that should honestly just crush as long as he gets the minutes, as long as he's active. One that was popping up was actually John Collins. It was at 18.5 to start the week. Now it's at 19.5. Still probably a decent one. We're expecting him to start. We're expecting him to get 30 minutes or so. He was really good in Atlanta. He's coming to the rejuvenation team of the Utah Jazz. Lauri Markkanen last year was awesome. Won me a bunch of money early on in the season. John Collins could kind of be that same type of dude. Not nearly as big of a ceiling, I don't think, but could step up and play awesome. Then from there, I think a lot of people are expecting Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, those players to really step up. But what if it's just Jeremy Grant again? And I say again because he kind of was that guy for them last year. The thing with Jeremy Grant is he kind of thinks he's better than he actually is, but there's some injury stuff we got to see on, like DeAndre Ayton. Is he going to be out? We'll see. He was inactive in the last game. Grant currently questionable himself as well. We might see Sharp, maybe have to play up a little bit more. He might be something that gets more minutes, but Jeremy Grant, as long as he plays and does play a full allotment of minutes, like they were pushing the minutes for the Portland Trailblazers last year. Like he's someone that could be a candidate to get 37, 38, potentially 40 minutes, regardless of the game as well, which is awesome. We know he's going to be someone that goes out and shoots at least double-digit shot attempts, most likely. And so this line just seems to be too low because he could easily get there. I don't want to say easily get there, which is points, but he could get to 20 points and it wouldn't be shocked. And so that's enough of kind of like the preview. Let's go ahead and turn into the 9 to 5 cheat sheet to see which are going to be the best EV bets to potentially pair with a lot of the ones I thought stood out. I do just want to remind you guys of the promo code that's currently going on the 9 to 5 website, which is going to be 50% off your first 9 to 5 month membership. A lot of people view the videos and love the takes. I can't be around all the time. You know, I'm typically posting 1 to 2 videos a day. That leaves a lot of missed awesome prop that you guys can take advantage of. So if you guys have been on the fence, this is the perfect time because you get the $10 membership for just $5 a month. Use the promo code NBA to get access to that. It's going to be available until the 10th, and then you get access to it for the first month. And so now just looking to the best EV bets that we're getting, we got Drew Holiday for under 7.5 assists, which I'm kind of interested in that one. It's a weird kind of dynamic that's going on in Boston because you do expect Drew Holiday to kind of take a step back usage wise. Like, sure, Porzingis hitting some 3 balls and being, you know, pretty good inside presence should be able to give him a few assists, you know, per game and whatnot. The question is, what is his usage rate going to look like? I kind of expect his points to drop a little bit this season, and that's going to be because Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are both high usage players. There's plenty of possessions that probably drove Boston fans crazy where they're the only 2 that are taking it. And that was more early on in the season last year, I guess, but there's going to be an adjustment period, most likely. And so I would probably agree with that. Kyle Kuzma over 17.5 points is one that I do like as well, guys. You expect him to shoot a lot, right? And so it's just whether or not he's on. He's going to get heavy minutes. Don't mind that one. And then from there, we're really not getting that many good EV bets as it sits right now. All right. And then so looking at, guys, this is going to be my bet of the day. Kyle Kuzma prop is still there at 17.5. You know, take that one. Same thing with Drew Holiday for under his assists at 7.5. But I just think we are getting some very good bets here. Zach Collins, very strong point per minute type player. A lot of you guys are familiar with that DFS wise. That's essentially the same thing for points, rebounds, and assists. Now, all these I would say are going to be good fantasy score props as long as the line doesn't get bumped too much. I said that with Yusuf Nurkic last night, and his prop line for fantasy score set at like 27, but his points, rebounds, and assists line was set at 21.5. So that was a little bit bigger of a difference. So it just depends on how they see it. But these are all pretty strong. I think Detroit, obviously, the very tough matchup against Miami, and I think that's why we're getting those low lines. But as long as they do play 30 or so minutes, which I'm expecting, you never know, Bagley, Wiseman, we could just see those 4 just split down the middle, like 25 minutes each or so. That'd be frustrating. I think we should give the starters the normal starter minutes and see what happens, and then you can make adjustments. And then Jeremy Grant, I do just kind of expect him to be the number 1 in that offense for the start of the season. Joachim Poeltl, PJ Washington, just both players that really stood out last year. Kind of just betting on them doing that again this year. That's going to be all for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the coverage. If you did, make sure to give a like and subscribe. Also hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any good EV bets before they get bumped, because that is a big thing with NBA DFS. If you guys want to, comment your favorite play. This is going to be all that I have for you guys for this video. Make sure to click the link in the description below, 9to5sports.com, to get access to that PrizePicks and Underdog cheat sheet. All right, thanks for watching. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.